Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join this citizen and this Constitution in holy matrimony. It is a marriage that is to be held in honor among all citizens of these United States. Before these two were joined in the bonds of marriage, there was oppression, disorder, and tyranny. Let us therefore reverently remember that our founding fathers helped to establish and sanctify this marriage for the welfare and happiness of every American. When two people marry, they make a commitment to one another. They stand before God and everyone and pledge that through sickness and in health, rich or poor, till death do them part, they will love, honor, and obey one another. We as citizens of the United States are also involved in a marriage and have the same duties as any married couple has. Through sickness and in health, rich or poor, till death do us part, we must love, honor, and obey the Constitution of the United States. This marriage began over 200 years ago when our founding fathers first established the Constitution. And if we stay as committed as any married couple should, it will last forever. Every good marriage has a good story behind it, and our Constitution is no exception. This is our third form of government, preceded by two unsuccessful ventures into the land of matrimony. Our first marriage began over 500 years ago, when Europeans first set foot on this continent. Before long, all of the colonies of America came under the control of Great Britain, and we found ourselves involved in an abusive relationship with a spouse that treated us more like a slave instead of as a loved one. All we could pray for was divorce, and it came to us in the form of revolution. But even as the fighting was finalizing that divorce, we were flirting with other forms of government, and soon were engaged to another. Our second marriage was to the Articles of Confederation, a loosely constructed government that provided for no central body to levy taxes and enforce its own laws. Underneath these articles, America went through times of depression and uprising that made it apparent it was time to move on and find our true soulmate. In the year 1787, 55 men met at an old Philadelphia State House to discuss the future of our nation's government. Many had ideas as to which marriage we should enter into, but none was a better matchmaker than James Madison. His contributions to the convention would become the basis of our government and of our new Constitution. After the committee voted to approve this document, it was sent on to the states to be ratified. And in July of 1788, 9 out of 13 states had passed this document into law, making it the basis of American government. As we ratified the Constitution, we said, "I do," and completed our vows of marriage. However, that ceremony has been over for 212 years. All that remains are the basic vows we took to love, honor, and obey. As with most good things in life, we have begun to take our Constitution for granted. It's time that we renew our vows of marriage and reestablish the fundamental principles they have given us: to love, to honor, and to obey. There are many reasons as to why we should love our Constitution, but none is more important than the fact it has given us a system of government that is run by the people instead of over the people. Democracy is a sacred value because it gives each and every one of us a voice to express our opinions, and a voice to elect our leaders. But the Constitution goes beyond just setting up democracy in this nation. It has listed out our rights and gives us security in our everyday lives. It's hard to imagine what life would be like without freedom of speech, privacy, and due process by law. But the truth of the matter is there are many countries around the world who do not enjoy these basic aspects of American life. We must always love the Constitution for this reason. But these days, it seems people would much rather turn on their television or surf the internet than do anything to show their love for their country and the Constitution behind it. Whatever happened to the crowds that would line the streets for a 4th of July parade? Where are the Americans who view Memorial Day as a day where we honor those who gave their lives in battle instead of as an excuse for a 3-day weekend? Too many times marriages have failed because one spouse forgot how lucky they were to have the other. We as Americans must never forget how lucky we are to have our Constitution. Renewing our vow of love is as simple as singing the national anthem with pride, saying the Pledge of Allegiance with a smile on our face, and stopping for a moment to watch in awe as our flag flies proudly in the wind. The second responsibility our vows of marriage have given us is to honor the Constitution. This, out of all of our obligations, has to be the easiest, considering that our founding document is nothing short of a miracle. Never before, and probably never again, have so many intelligent and insightful minds been able to congregate and create what our founding fathers did in that old Philadelphia State House. Some may call it divine intervention, fate, or maybe just dumb luck. But whatever the consequences were that led to the formation of our Constitution, it remains as the bedrock of American government and American society. If you ever enter into the National Archives in Washington, D.C., you will see a large room with a ramp around one side leading to an altar-like structure at the front. In glass casing, inside that altar, is the American Constitution. People will wait in line for many minutes just to get a few seconds glance at our nation's founding document. We as citizens have put our Constitution on a pedestal, not simply because of the role it has played in our nation's history, but because its structure should be considered the 8th wonder of the world. The idea of 3 branches of government, each with separate powers and checks on the other, is an idea that has enabled us to maintain a stable government for over 2 centuries. But the real reason that our Constitution stands heads above all other forms of government is the fact that our founding fathers realized they were not infallible and gave us the amendment process. Article 5 of the Constitution allows us to correct the mistakes of the past and to meet the needs of the people in changing times. We must always honor the Constitution, or we risk forgetting about its beauty and losing it forever. To love the Constitution is great. To honor it is even better. But we will still lose this beautiful document if we refuse to obey the basic principles of democracy it has given to us. There is an old story of Ben Franklin after he left the Constitutional Convention. A young lady came up to him and asked, "Well, Dr. Franklin, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" Franklin responded, "We have a republic, madam. That is, if we can keep it." Franklin understood that the success of our new nation would be dependent upon the people taking part in democracy. But according to the 1996 U.S. Election Atlas, only 49% of Americans voted in that election year. Just over half of us felt it was no longer our duties as citizens to take part in the democracy we honor so much. Just as Franklin pointed out to that young lady, we have a republic, but we can lose it, especially if we become too lazy, if we just don't care, and if we don't obey the basic principles of democracy our Constitution gave us. A vow of marriage is a vow of commitment, duty, and responsibility. When our founding fathers created the Constitution, little did they know that they had engaged themselves to the greatest form of government known to man. But the reception is done, and the honeymoon is over. All that remains are those basic vows we took: to love, honor, and obey.